Georgia High School Sports Daily powered by IBEW Local 613. From the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager. And as always, Thursdays are a great day of the week. We're going to get the opportunity to just dive into some good matchups taking place tomorrow night. We have our Pick'em segment. Then we're going to talk a little bit about recruiting with Jack Gallagher, highlight some women's sports with the cheerleading coach from South Forsyth, and then dive into our game of the week. And with that, our game of the week will be Milton versus Roswell tomorrow night at 8 p.m. at Roswell Stadium. This is a region championship. It's going to be a really good matchup, but you can tune in here starting at 7:30 tomorrow night for our pregame show. Stick around all night. We'll have coverage of that game, and then after that game, we'll have coverage of just some good matchups around the state. But Craig, yesterday we had the opportunity to speak with Coach Reeves and Coach Thompson. What were some of the big takeaways you took from them?
I think my biggest takeaway is both of these head coaches are guys that I would want to play with. If I had sons, I would want them to play for. They're just very impressive. They have this positive attitude of coaching. They care about their players. I think they both have that in spades. The takeaway in terms of the matchup, I thought it was interesting what Coach Reeves said about the pressure kind of being on Roswell, the fact that they haven't had that region loss yet. They go into this matchup, they're playing at home, it's senior night, it's Halloween. They've kind of been waiting to get the upper hand in this big rivalry for the last few years, where when I look at Milton, who their coach says some of the pressure feels like it's on Roswell, which I think that was what I said entering that conversation. But I think Milton, their loss to Gainesville has kind of like woken them up a little bit. That was their first region loss since like 2017, something they don't happen. And what I know about Milton is they really like taking on that underdog role. When people doubt them and when they're in a big matchup against a team like a Buford, when they have injuries, when they're dealing with this adversity, that seems to be when they really step up. So the fact that the narrative's already shifting towards the pressure being on Roswell, I think that's the most interesting thing I'm looking for.
We also have our Georgia Elite Classic Showcase coming up this weekend. That will be November 2nd at Blessed Trinity Catholic School, and it is not too late to reserve your spot. You can do that at GeorgiaEliteClassic.com. But Craig, I just want to ask about some big alumni who have played in this event before.
Yeah, so that's honestly some of my biggest memories. So I was there at the very first ever Georgia Elite Classic, and it was star power. We had guys like Mitch Hyatt from North Gwinnett. He ended up going to Clemson and then was a draft pick, went to the Dallas Cowboys. And guys like Blake Ferguson, the long snapper from Buford, he went into the league, I believe played for the Miami Dolphins. His brother played for the Buffalo Bills. And then you just look at the year since. We've seen Sammy Brown play in it. Aaron Philo, what a great quarterback, a great state champion now at Georgia Tech. You see Jahmyr Gibbs, what he's doing with the Detroit Lions. There has been so many incredible players in it. And what's great about it is some of these guys played in the event as sophomores. Some of them were able to make those middle school games once we added it in there. So this alumni list is huge. I think over the first 12 years, which we can't count all 12 classes at this point because some of them, like if they played as a sophomore last year, they obviously haven't made their college decision. But just in the 12 previous years of this event, we've had close to 1,700 players come through that went on to play at the next level. And we have a big list. It's all documented. It continues to grow, but we've just had so many incredible names playing it.
Now let's take a look at our fast break headlines. Prince Avenue Christian running back Andrew Jerry Beard has named his top 5 schools. He is a 4-star running back in the 2027 class, and he has named these schools as Alabama, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, and Georgia. And Craig, I just want to ask, what have you seen from Beard this season, and how much of an impact can we expect him to make against Hebron Christian Friday night?
Well, this season, he's been doing what he always does, making plays in the pass game and the run game. He is a true all-purpose back that can do it all, and I think that's what he needs to think about most with his decision. He has a lot of ties with his uncle being Garrison Hurst, his father, Jerry Beard, being a great running back at App State, but he needs to go to a place that is going to take advantage of his ability as a pass catcher because we've seen him lead Prince Avenue Christian in rushing and receiving. I think he can do it all. So if he's in a system that can really move him around, I think that's where we're going to really get to see him excel.
Moving on to headline 2, Oglethorpe County Volleyball wins their first ever Class A state championship, and they defeated the top-ranked Bremen Blue Devils in the Class A finals by a score of 3-1. And with this win, Oglethorpe also capped off a 20-game win streak to end the season. Craig, what did you see from this Oglethorpe team this season?
Well, it was very incredible. So both these teams were playing for their first ever state title. This is the only championship matchup this year that had 2 teams that had never won. And this was, without question, the closest championship match I've ever witnessed. Rarely did you see a team build more than a 4-point lead. It was just neck and neck. And so Bremen won the first set, and then you're in the second set, and Bremen had a match point, and there was some sort of play where it would have been awarded to Bremen, but I think the coach said no, that was a net violation, and so they awarded the point to Oglethorpe County. That evened it up 1 set to 1 set, and then it was just close from there with Oglethorpe County being able to get those late points just in these big matches going past the 25. I think it was a 29-27 victory in the third, and then they closed it out in the fourth. So it was just very close. Haley Matthews is a player that stood out in this, but definitely congrats to Oglethorpe County being able to beat the top-ranked team, have a great run in the playoffs, and then it just is going to mean a lot to that program.
Moving on to headline 3, McEachern seeks first undefeated regular season since 2019, and they still have to see Osborne this upcoming Friday, but they're highly favored to win that game. Craig, just talk to me about this McEachern team. What has stood out about them this year?
Well, I think just from the start of this year, they just came out with a confidence that McEachern, it's almost been like under the surface. They know it's an outstanding program. They know they have a ton of talent, but it's really about having that expectation to excel on the field. They had that. They went into this season confident. They showed it from the start, the big win over Walton in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And then from there, they had a tough game against Marietta. I think that was kind of a wake-up call for them. They had to claw their way back at the end. But it's the development of C.J. Pittman, Calvin Pittman at the quarterback position. I think he has brought a balance to this offense. We know how talented the offensive line is, the running back stable they have. They've dealt with some injuries, but I feel like he has stepped up. And so when you try to stop the run, he's been able to make the plays, get it out in space. And I feel like offensively, this McEachern team is showing a lot of balance.
Let's take a look at headline 4. Walker football program has 19 players for final game of the season, and the Wolverines, they already have a small roster. There's 19 active. They only had 26 to start the season. They've had to adjust practice routines to avoid more injuries, but their practices have been shortened. They're focusing on the essentials, and players hold their lunch film sessions and scouting meetings outside of practice. Craig, how difficult is it to play a football game with 19 players?
Yeah, it's crazy. And so the MDJ highlighted this story. They started the season with about 26, and I know that sounds crazy and uncommon, but actually Mount Pisgah, a few years back, they made a run to, I think, the quarterfinals with 27 players on their entire roster. They've dealt with injuries, but they've made it to the final game of the season. This is a program that it was really up in the air. Would they be able to compete in the GHSA? They've been able to hold the program together, and a lot of credit to these not only the 19 players, the 26, the players that have been able to keep this season alive. They're going to play Mount Pisgah. Both teams are 2-7 going in. This is going to be a good region win and a pretty crazy story to close the season.
Let's take a look at our last headline. GHSA softball state championship schedule has changed once again due to the inclement weather, and the message from the GHSA stated, due to wet field conditions and ongoing rain, the GHSA has decided to cancel tonight's opening round of the state softball championship tournament in the interest of safety for our student athletes. The revised tournament schedule will be Thursday. There are going to be games at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. Friday at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. And then Saturday at 11 a.m., 1:15, and 3:30. And Craig, I know we talked about this yesterday, but how do you keep your team focused with this?
Yeah, it's really tough because this is a tournament already where you don't know if you're going to be there for a day or if you're going to go all the way. So these teams have kind of just been waiting around to see. They try to get that early start today, and then it's going to be 3 straight days of nonstop action.
And then, Craig, I know that you got the opportunity to watch all of these volleyball matches. Just talk about what you saw in these state championships and talk about the outcomes.
Yeah, so let's go over it real quick. In Class 3A, you had Cherokee Bluff against Whitewater. Cherokee Bluff had 11 seniors on their team. They were a number 13 seed that had such a great run to get to the finals. They were trying to be the first ever Hall County team to win a state title, but Whitewater came out, played very well, gave Fayette County that state title with a sweep, a 3-0 victory. In the private classification, Lovett had a huge win over Hebron Christian in 5 sets. They closed it out with a 15-6 victory. In that 5th set, Carrie Knotts, the freshman phenom, 6'3", was the MVP of that match for Lovett. And this is what I said: if Lovett's able to knock off Hebron, this could be the start of a dynasty. And they were able to do that, snapping Hebron Christian's 40-game win streak in the process. And then the final match was between McIntosh and Woodward Academy last night in 5A. Woodward Academy took a 2-0 lead. McIntosh, valiant effort, coming back, forcing that 5th set, but then in the end, Woodward Academy was able to close it out. That was a number 2 versus number 3 matchup. Pope went into the playoffs number 1, but I was very impressed. I thought that McIntosh Woodward Academy, some of the best strategy in volleyball I've seen, and we've got 3 great matchups to watch today.
Yes, and if you want more of a recap for this, you can look on the Score ATL website for Craig's breakdown of these games. Congratulations to all the champions. We will be right back after this break to hear from Jack Gallagher to talk about recruiting in Georgia. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches, because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing, so there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts, attend street festivals, and see Wings Over Northwest Georgia Air Show. Plus, you can enjoy a haunted tour or two and these upcoming events. weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at roamgeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to welcome Jack Gallagher to the desk just to talk about some recruiting in the state of Georgia. But Jack, I want to start with our matchup coming up tomorrow night with Milton versus Roswell. Starting with this Milton team, who are your eyes going to be on?
Yeah, well, let's start with the highest ranked recruit in this matchup. Milton tight end, 4-star, Grant Haviland. He is an uncommitted 2027 prospect. He has visited plenty of schools as he gets into the meat of his recruitment here. At 6'4", 215, you hear the word all the time, but he has prototypical size, and he's attracting a lot of attention from big schools. Schools like UGA, Alabama, Tennessee, FSU, obviously the in-state UGA, that's going to be a player in this recruitment until the very end. And then FSU, he's taking visits there. Tennessee, he's taking visits there. So Grant Haviland, lots of big schools after this kid. I'm excited to see what he does in this game, but he's not even the leading receiver on this team. That would be 2026 wide receiver Jordan Carrasquillo. He is also uncommitted, and just in the last probably 15 or 16 hours picked up an offer from Liberty, picked up an offer from Coastal Carolina earlier this month, and then other big schools like Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, Wake Forest, among other Power 4 offers that he has. And then on the defensive side of the ball for Milton, this is the side of the ball that I'm very excited to watch. 3-star linebacker Billy Wevoda, he's committed to Iowa, 6'2", 210. He's all around the field for this team. And obviously with a program that has consistent success on the defensive side of the ball like Iowa does, clearly means that a guy like Wevoda has the potential and the production to get an offer from there and then ultimately commit to a program like Iowa. So I'm very excited to see how he does tracking down a dynamic duo, quarterback running back duo from Roswell. But he has some help. 2026 3-star safety Tristan Lester. He's committed to Marshall, another guy that is all around the field for this Milton team. 38 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2 fumble recoveries, 10 tackles for loss from this safety position is very impressive. Was watching a little bit of his highlights in film. He's around the line of scrimmage a lot. He's going to have a tall task for facing this Roswell team that runs the ball well.
And Jack, just to kind of come off of that, with what you've seen from these players so far this season, what type of impact are you anticipating them to make in this matchup with Roswell?
Well, they have to make a big impact. Obviously, we'll get to Roswell here soon, but they run the ball well. I think Roswell runs the ball for like 240 yards a game. So guys like Billy Wevoda, Tristan Lester, they're going to have their hands full all night. They have produced up to this point of the season. They're going to have to continue to do so in this game, try to slow down this Roswell attack, control the game from the defensive side of the ball. So those are the two guys I'm looking at. I think this Roswell offense versus the Milton defense is what I'm most excited for. And we'll see how it plays out, but I think they're up to the task, and I think they'll be able to slow down, maybe not all the way, but slow down this Roswell team to the point where they can get the ball back to their offense in advantageous situation.
And then, Jack, you mentioned Trey Smith and Nick Peel. Just talk to me about what you've seen from them this season.
Yeah, obviously those are the two leading rushers for this team. Running back Nick Peel, on the recruiting side of things, got his first D1 offer in February from Gardner Webb. He's averaging almost 100 yards a game, 98 rush yards a game. He's been pretty dominant on the ground. And then his buddy at quarterback, Trey Smith, committed to Furman, 85 rush yards on the ground, 34 total touchdowns on the ground. If they can get it going on the offensive side of the ball, could continue to do what they've been doing all season, this Roswell offense has a tall task in front of them. This Milton defense has a tall task in the front of them. in front of them. It's going to be very exciting to see if Trey Smith and Nick Peel continue to do what they've been doing all season.
And then, Jack, just with these two teams, what's going to be key in them securing this region win?
Well, I think if you look at a team like Roswell, obviously undefeated in the region, they give up a little more points. Milton has a very good defense, though. They've only given up, I think they're giving up less than 10 points a game, I believe. So this is obviously thus far, it's the biggest game for each of these teams. And like I said, we're going to be looking for Milton to continue their production on defense. Roswell try to continue that dominance they've had on the ground this far into the season. If it gets into a shootout type of game and Roswell is rolling on the ground and can't be stopped, I think that benefits Roswell. Milton probably wants this to be more of a low-scoring game, needs that defense to stop this Roswell offense. I don't know how this game's going to go. I like how Milton stacks up against Roswell, especially with that Milton defense against this Roswell offense, but we'll see. It's going to be a very good game.
And then, Jack, just talk to me about some commitments and decommitments recently.
Yeah, so I want to talk about Woodward Academy Safety 2026, Blake Stewart, second on this graphic here. He decommits from Clemson pretty much immediately after that decommitment. Miami and Vanderbilt come to the forefront of this recruitment now. He made it to Miami and Vanderbilt on official visits this summer. He's been back on campus at both of those schools since then. Those are the teams to watch. Obviously, both of those schools having very, very good seasons, two different conferences. Maybe he wants to play ball in the ACC, obviously coming off of a decommitment from Clemson, so you got to watch Miami there. Maybe he wants to play ball in the SEC. You got Vanderbilt there. But those are the schools to watch for Blake Stewart. And then back to the top of this list, we mentioned him, Andrew, Jerry, Mr. Beard. He announces his top 5, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Alabama. He's a top 5 running back in the class of 2027, so obviously big-time programs coming after Andrew Beard. Obviously, the nephew of Georgia High School Football Hall of Famer and former Georgia running back Garrison Hurst. I think that bodes well, being a legacy product for Georgia. Even if he wasn't, Georgia, obviously with an in-state running back, is going to be in it till the very end. Alabama also has a lot of buzz in this recruitment. Georgia Tech, still a favorite here, obviously made his top 5. I think he ultimately ends up playing ball in the SEC. Georgia, Alabama, 2 teams out of those 5 to watch in my eyes. And then this Saturday, we mentioned it a few weeks ago, Hampton safety Kamari Dorsey will make his commitment. He announced a top 7 recently: Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, LSU, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. But after he announced that top 7, all signs have been pointing to Texas A&M. I think on Saturday he will commit to Texas A&M, and I ultimately think it would be a surprise if he does not put pen to paper with the Aggies.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing him commit on Saturday. And you mentioned he has Texas A&M high up on his list. They're leading the SEC right now, so definitely something to keep our eyes on. And Jack, thank you for joining us and breaking down what's going on in recruiting in the state of Georgia. We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now it's time for my favorite time of the week. As always, it's time for our Pick'em segment. And guys, I guess it was time that we looked at our accuracy to see how we have been doing so far this season. And I kind of feel like the result I got is not a direct representation of how well I thought I was going to do. Starting with Craig. Craig has a 72% accuracy leading us. Then we have Hayden at a close second with a 70%. I'm trailing behind a little bit with 69%, and our producer, Max, He's trying the best he can. He has 60%, but there's still time left in the season. So let's take a look at our first matchup for 6A. We have Lowndes versus Valdosta. This is the Wintersville Classic, probably one of the most competitive, biggest rivalries in the state. We clearly know it's going to be a competitive game. It's a South Georgia rivalry, but Lowndes is going into this game undefeated. Honestly, both teams have been so consistent, but Lowndes has really been consistent on both sides of the ball. I'm looking forward to see how this game plays out, but I'm going to take Lowndes.
Yeah, I'm going with Lowndes in this one. It's obviously tough. It's a rivalry game. There's usually chaos in this region, but the fact that Lowndes has been able to handle business like they have in this region, you don't get to this point of the season undefeated without being a focused, extremely focused team. I think they come out and get the edge.
I mean, this is a really hard pick. This crazy stuff happens in this rivalry. But I think when you look at Lowndes, when you look at a player like Jace Johnson, just uber talented, one of those guys he's an A&M commit for a reason. He's nearly a 5-star quarterback. I think he's kind of the difference maker in this game this year.
Now let's take a look at 5A Milton versus Roswell. Clearly, this is our game of the week. I'm going to take Roswell for the win. But what I want to say about this matchup is both of these programs are under the leadership of great coaches. You have Ben Reeves at Milton and Jonathan Thompson at Roswell. I think that they're both running the program at an excellent standard. This really was a hard pick, but I think that Trey Smith and Nick Peel will have great offensive performances. While it's going to be a close game, it's going to be a home game for Roswell. I'm going to take the Hornets for the win.
Yeah, this was a very tough one for me, and I picked Milton for one reason and one reason only. I could see the frustration in Coach Reeves talking about that Gainesville game and how sloppy they played. They came out, they had a big win over Johns Creek the next week. I just feel like when Milton has their backs against the wall, when they feel like they're an underdog and they've had a bad taste in their mouth from a previous loss, I just expect chaos in this region, and I think Milton's going to be able to find a way.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and forth for 2 straight days before making this pick. I think the difference maker for me is Trey Smith. They love that quarterback power. They love to really get numbers in the box and find ways to get your defense just off balance. And I think Roswell's going to find a way to do that against this Milton team and just kind of drain the clock at times and put Ben Halevi in a position that you don't really want to put an inexperienced sophomore quarterback. I think he's really talented. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. I just think Roswell's going to be able to come away with the win.
Now let's take a look at our 4A classification. We have East Forsyth versus Madison County, and I took Madison County for this pick. I just think that Madison County is the more competitive team. However, I will say when you look at both of these teams, they both saw North Oconee this season. The final for both of these teams was 41-6, but Madison County has won 3 straight games in a row. I think that they're going to keep this energy going into this matchup. I'm going to take the Red Raiders for the win.
Yeah, this was a tough pick for me also. East Forsyth won this matchup, I think 42-14 last year, just dominated, but I feel like Madison County is going to be able to get that revenge.
Yeah, Madison County is much improved. I think them running that triple option is really helping them out. I believe this will be the first time that East Forsyth sees that offense last year. We've seen in games earlier in the season how much seeing this offense for the first time really affects teams, and I think they'll be able to come out with the win.
In our 3A classification, we have Douglas versus Stevenson, and Stevenson only has 1 loss this season. At the beginning of the season, their offense was not as productive as I would like to have seen it, but in the last 3 games, they have been dominant on offense. They had a shutout over Luella last week, 48-0. I think this game will be competitive, but I'm going to take the Jaguars for the win.
Yeah, I'm going with Douglas. I just have a lot of confidence in Coach Pritchett and his message to his team. They aren't going to go out there and try to be flashy and beat you that way, but this is a team that sticks together, that can win close games, and I feel like if they come out and hang with Stevenson in that first half, that confidence will grow throughout the game and they'll be able to close it out.
Yeah, this was a really tough one. For me, it's just the high-end talent of Stevenson. It's sort of the opposite from last year where Douglas had all this talent, all this really high-end talent, all this senior talent. This year, I think Stevenson just has a lot of senior and junior talent that's had a lot of playing time, and I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, Reggie's going to be at that game.
For our 2A classification, we have North Murray versus Rockmart. And North Murray may have the better record, but Rockmart has been much more productive offensively. I think that this is going to show in this matchup. They have running back Nate Davis. He's been a weapon for this team. I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm going to take Rockmart for the win.
Yeah, North Murray's a winning program. They're great. Rockmart, I feel like just a level above them. They are one of the most talented teams in this classification. North Murray struggled a little bit last week against Coola Creek. I think Rockmart comes in and gets the victory.
Yeah, I think when I look at this game, this is one of those games where North Murray is a really well-coached team. They're always playing above their talent level. However, Rockmart's a state championship contender year in and year out. Their only loss is to Cartersville, which is a 4A state title contender. I think that they're just a better team right now, and I think they're going to come away with the win.
Now let's take a look at Savannah Christian versus Toombs County. I took Toombs County for the win. Both of these teams are 3-0 in the region. It's going to be another good game, but Toombs has seemed to be a bit more competitive. They have wide receiver Gavin Fletcher. He's been very competitive this season. I'm going to take Toombs for the win.
Yeah, I just want to say this is without question the hardest week of pick'ems we've had. I went back and forth on this one a ton. I think Savannah Christian's an outstanding team, but this is the opportunity for Toombs County. If they want to win that back-to-back state title, this is a big test. I feel like they're going to come out and get the win.
I think when you look at this game, on paper, both teams have about the same amount of talent. I think the difference for me was that Toombs County's talent is spread across the board. It's not just at one position, where Savannah Christian's a really talented team. They have 3 D1 offensive linemen, but that's where the majority of their talent is. I think it being centered right there is really good for their offense, but I think that they're going to be able to, or Toombs County's going to be able to take advantage of them a little bit on the defense.
Yeah, and even with some of Toombs County losses, like the one to Rome this year, I mean, they came out in that game, had a lead again. I just feel like this is a very underrated team.
Next, we have Screven County versus Emmanuel County Institute. I took Screven County. I think that this team has been complete and consistent. I'm taking them for the win. They've been really electric in region play, and I see that continuing.
Yep, this is another tough matchup, but I think Screven County, offensively, they've been lighting it up.
Yeah, Screven County's been playing great all year. Emmanuel County Institute's played well down the stretch. I just don't think they have enough to beat Screven County.
And lastly, we have Hebron versus Prince Ave. I'm taking Hebron for the win. I really like this Hebron team. They've only seen 1 loss this season, and that was to the Tennessee McCauley team, one of the #1 teams in Tennessee. Other than that, they've done what they needed to do to get the job done. They're undefeated in the region. We know Prince Ave will be competitive, but I see Hebron getting the job done.
Yeah, I just think Hebron's offense has been way too explosive this season. We've seen what they've even done to teams like Blessed Trinity, one of the best defenses anyone will face this year, still being able to find a way to win. I'm going with the Golden Lions.
Yeah, I think when I look at this game, Hebron is, I don't think they're more talented than Prince Ave. However, I think they use that talent better. Right now, they are playing at a higher level. And even though I think Prince Ave may be the more talented team, I'm going with Hebron Christian.
As we mentioned, you can tune in here tomorrow night after our game of the week, Roswell versus Milton. Stick around after that, and we're going to be talking about these matchups, giving you some score updates. We'll be right back after this short break with our She's Got Game segment. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your flag football team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And Score Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time. And Score Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Score Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Score Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Cal Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Score Atlanta today.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now it's time to highlight some women's sports with our She's Got Game segment. Today we're going to welcome South Forsyth cheerleading coach Stacy Schmuel. Coach Schmuel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So Coach Schmuel, I just want to first start off by talking about last season. You had a co-ed team, won the state title, and had the opportunity to coach your son. Just talk to me about what this experience was like for you personally.
It was probably the best 8 months of my life getting to coach him. It was the first time South Forsyth had ever been co-ed. He was our only boy, so he carried a great deal of weight on him, being able to hit that rubric. But it was a joy to coach him and getting to, watch him grow in the sport, watching him become part of the team and get to be a part of that as a parent and coach. Like most people don't get that experience. And I'm not going to say it was all easy. It wasn't all sunshine and roses. I mean, I had very high expectations for him. I made clear that he was the coach's child. And then being the only boy, he had to do his job as the co-ed stunter. But it was a joy when they hit at state and getting to come off that floor and hug him first as a mom, and his coach, like that will forever be ingrained in my mind. And then when they called us state champions, getting to hug him and experience it for myself as a mom and coach, and then watch him experience that. It's just, it's something that you dream of happening, and it just doesn't happen very, very often. And on the way home, I told my husband, I said, when do you ever get everything that you want? And so that will forever be a highlight of my coaching career.
And Coach Schmuel, now you're back to coaching all girls. How has this team created their own identity in comparison to past teams that you've coached?
South Forsyth has a very strong history in all girls, so they've made that transition very easily. They have done, all coaches will tell you that the year after a big win like a state championship is hard. It's hard to build what this team is going to be about and what this team is going to value. And they've done a very good job of that, of taking what they learned from last year and applying it, but also leaving last year where it is, and just focusing on this year and our goals. We have 12 juniors and no seniors. And so that has been an interesting dynamic, watching those younger kids step into leadership roles, and just having that many people that are of the same class. But they're incredibly hard workers. They want to be coached very tough, and they want to carry on the South Forsyth tradition. So they know what it means to be a South Forsyth cheerleader, and they take that very seriously, and they want to live up to what the teams before them have done.
All right, and then can you talk to me about how important is team chemistry in a sport like cheerleading, and how do you build that each season for you guys?
I mean, cheerleading is all about team chemistry. There's some individual skills, but particularly stunning is the majority of what our score sheet is. And you have to know your stunt group, and you have to know their their little quirks and how they do things. And you have to have chemistry in order to hit those skills at the right exact moment. 4 people working together in unison and being able to anticipate what your flyer does or your back spot or your other base. And even when we're not stunning, our transitions and our choreography are so intricate that you have to know your teammates and you have to have chemistry and you have to be able to anticipate what they're going to do and be aware of them at all times. It's 2.5 minutes of just being in the exact spot that you're supposed to be, and not only on just the right count, but also on the right syllable of that count. Like it's very difficult to do, and they do it so beautifully, and we work hard at it. And ways that we build chemistry, we do a team culture workshop in June, where we sit down for about 4 hours and we talk about what our team values are going to be for this year. What are we going to find that's important to us? How are we going to build that throughout our season? And then we do little team activities throughout the year to do that. We have a theme every year that is part of not only our performance, but also part of what we want our season to stand for. And so we have little activities that kind of filter into that along the way. But that team workshop is what sets us up for a successful year, and it sets the path for where we're going to go.
And how have the returning athletes stepped up as leaders after last year's success for you guys?
I mean, as I said, we have no seniors, but all of our athletes have worked hard in stepping up in different ways. Leadership can come through. It doesn't always have to be the most vocal person. Sometimes you find leadership in the person who is always doing their job, is always reliable. The little quiet leaders who turn to those people and say, "You've got this," or, they don't necessarily draw attention to themselves, but they're doing the little things for individual athletes that help make the team successful. So I think that this group has done an extraordinary job in filling that gap, because we had 5 extraordinary seniors last year, and they have stepped into those roles, but they're also leading in their own individual ways that suit their strengths. And they're a very close-knit team. They're very bonded. They will always travel in a pack, which is so nice to see. And I think that has been their goal, is to stay united and to lead one another in the ways that they feel comfortable and that they feel is their strength. So it's been an interesting year not having that senior leadership, but they've done a fantastic job of filling in different ways, and every team member finding a way to be a leader in some way.
And Coach Smule, this far into the season, as you get closer to state, what does your practice look like?
Well, we've been hit with a lot of injuries this year, and so we've had to rework a lot. And so we're finally at a place where we feel comfortable with where we're at, and practices are very detail oriented. We are getting in those reps to build confidence, but it's a lot of, where are you at on 1? Where are you at on 2? Do you match your mirror? Are you in line with one another? In cheer, we use, the seams of the mat and the lines. Where are you at? Are you on the quarter? Are you on the half? And so it's a lot of details that take a lot of brain power to focus on. We're videoing the routine from different angles to see what it looks like from every person's perspective in the gym. We're viewing it up high, we're viewing it down low, and just picking out those little details, taking screenshots of individual things to see, are we all on the same count? Is our foot in the same spot? And then just also working on performance. These last 2 competitions are what we've been working for since June. And everybody just wants to go out there and do something that they are proud of and just walk off that mat knowing that there's nothing else they could have done.
And Coach Smule, you've had the opportunity to coach so many cheerleading programs, seeing so much success everywhere you go, but what have you learned in your time coaching at South Forsyth?
I mean, I've definitely learned something at every school. And I mean, I have definitely, this has been reiterated at South Forsyth, but one thing that I have learned is talent can only take you so far. And it's fantastic to have, but those intangibles that drive to want to be better, that coachability, that desire to want to be coach tough, and just the commitment to the team. Those are the things that truly do make you successful. I mean, last year's team, I mean, they were a talented group, but they're not the most talented team that South Forsyth has ever had. But I will tell you that that team had the intangibles. They worked hard. They wanted you to correct every little thing, and they wanted to be the best versions of themselves. And in the end, that won out for them. And so that's probably what I've learned the most here, because these athletes are committed. Their parents are committed. The community is committed. Just little things like we say 15 minutes early is on time, and we take that seriously. And making sure that we show up in matching practice outfits, or if we're doing something in the community, making sure that we match. And then just the parent support, and just making sure that South Forsyth is always represented in the best possible light. This school, even before me, had a long history and tradition of that, and I've been lucky enough to be able to experience that and learn from that. And it's just, it's unlike any other place when it comes to that culture that already existed here.
Again, that was South Forsyth cheerleading coach Stacy Schmuel. Coach Schmuel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to just take more time talking about our game of the week. That is Roswell versus Milton. But guys, before we kind of go into this breakdown, this is going to be a huge region matchup. Both communities are definitely going to show out, but this game also takes place on Halloween. What are you guys dressing up as? Let's start with Hayden, actually.
I'm going as Ted Lasso.
Okay,
That's gonna be good. I'm going as a fox.
Okay, well, I don't have a costume yet, so if anyone has any recommendations, be sure to let me know. But guys, just going into this matchup, this Roswell and this Milton team, both very competitive. They've both seen a lot of success so far this season. What is going to be the overall key in getting this win?
Yeah, I think it's going to really come down to who makes the fewest mistakes. Both these teams are really talented. They're really well coached. This is one of those games where one turnover here or there, one bad penalty could cost you this game.
Yeah, so true. I mean, Milton can't turn the ball over. We talked about the Gainesville game. They felt like they were sloppy in that. Something uncharacteristic for Milton in these big games. I think the key for me is going to be the red zone. Trey Smith has been so effective running the ball, passing the ball. It's so tough to stop them once they get down there. Milton has enough of an aggressive defense. They've got a ton of talent back there, guys like Blaze Battaglia, all his tackles. I feel like the red zone is going to be important instead of touchdowns, forcing field goals.
And guys, I know that we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this leadership that both of these teams are under, at Milton you have Ben Reeves, at Roswell you have Jonathan Thompson. This is actually his first season there, but he's seen a lot of success. Just talk to me about this leadership for both of these programs.
Yeah, I think with, what Coach Reeves has done at Milton has obviously been incredible. The consistency, the state championships, but with Coach Thompson, it was so interesting just to see them this summer coming in, winning the Corky Kell 7-on-7, just having really a great offseason from the start and then carrying that over into the season. He credits a lot of just the character of his team, but certainly his leadership has helped maximize that talent.
Yeah, I mean, I knew from day one talking to Coach Thompson after they won 7-on-7, I went and interviewed him for the recap of that day, and you just got this feeling. You knew that he was the right guy for that job, that he was bringing the right culture there and not going to mess up the culture that was already there, but also bringing his own twist on that culture that was really going to help them. And then Ben Reeves has done an amazing job. We all know what he's done. There's no question that program there and the culture there is unmatched.
I have a question for Hayden. Obviously, a team is going to lose this matchup, but heading into the playoffs, that could maybe wear on them. But do you think in the grand scheme it's going to matter too much on what this region can do?
I don't think it is. I think the top three teams in this region all can win a state title. I mean, Gainesville may be the most talented team in the entire classification. We all know what Milton's able to do. Roswell has shown that they are able to hang with those two teams. So I think you want to win this, especially if you're Roswell, because it's now been 6 years. If you're Milton, because this is a huge rivalry game, and getting home field advantage, which you still get from winning your region right now, is a huge advantage. But I really don't think it affects either one of these teams. We've seen 2 and 3 seeds win state championships in recent years. So I think the outcome of this game matters, but it doesn't matter in the state championship quest from either of these 2 teams.
And then, guys, we've talked a lot about Roswell's quarterback, Trey Smith, but when you look at Milton's quarterback, Ben Halevi, how would you describe his quarterback style?
Yeah, I think when you look at Ben, he's really cool under pressure. He's this guy that this is his first time starting. He transferred out in the offseason. He transferred back in during the middle of this season. He makes really good decisions most of the time. He's had 1 or 2 throws where you're like, hey, this is still a sophomore quarterback. But he doesn't play like most sophomore quarterbacks. He makes really good decisions. He plays within the offense, and he's just a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think a key game was the Blessed Trinity game, him coming in there, leading them to a comeback victory, closing that out. I feel like he's done a good job of just providing that spark.
And then also defensively, we've talked about Roswell's Brody Duffy. What can we expect out of him in this matchup?
He just has reckless abandon for his body. He's going to fly around out there and hit anyone he can.
Yeah, he's really the core piece of this defense. They run that 3-3 defense. It's not something we see a ton of in high school. It really relies on differentiating running pass by the linebackers because to fit that run. So he's really a key part of this defense, and it's going to be a key part if they want to win this game tomorrow night.
It's definitely going to be a great atmosphere. We're expecting a bunch of the communities to come out. It's a big rival game. It's on Halloween, the region championship. And guys, there's going to be a lot of other great matchups to tune into tomorrow night as well. So as I mentioned, we'll have coverage of our game starting at 7:30 live from the field, take you through the game, and then you can stick around. After, we're going to be talking about some other great matchups in the state of Georgia, more region championships, a lot of playoff implications with these games. You can tune in right back here tomorrow night. Thank you for tuning in with us today, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.